Hi guys, today we're going to be talking about ecosystems in this PowerPoint. So with that being said, our definition of an ecosystem is all of the living organisms that share a region and interact with each other and their non-living factors in the environment. So in our picture to the left here, see if you can list all of the living and non-living things in this ecosystem. So, if you said that either our rock here, our soil, the air, or even sunlight was non-living, you would be correct. If you said that our plants, our tree, and even the moss that you see on our tree was living, you would also be correct. So some examples of ecosystems that you might not think about could possibly be swamps. Some abiotic factors could once again be the sunlight, could be the salinity or the amount of salt in our swamps, or maybe even if they're fresh water, how much oxygen is in the water at the time. And our biotic factors could be anything from a bird to even algae. In our coral reef, it's almost the same thing. Our biotic factors could be things such as mussels or fish or maybe other sea creatures. And our abiotic factors could be sunlight and even oxygen. And lastly, forests, which you can have tropical rainforest, or you can even have a temperate deciduous forest, which is the ecosystem where we live. And like I've said before, ecosystems are made up of both organic and non-organic components. The organic components are called biotic factors. The non-organic components are called abiotic factors. So let's take a second and just think. So on this slide, write down at least 5 biotic and 5 abiotic factors you would find either right outside your window or maybe even at a park. And just to test your knowledge a little bit, on this slide you can label the following as either biotic or an abiotic factor. And so in our ecosystem example here, we know that individual organisms from many species share an ecosystem. And so even our bird that is flying up in the sky right now in this picture shares this lake ecosystem with the fish, or with the tree, or even with our bug. And so that bird is actually a part of a specific population of birds. And we can define population as all of the individuals of a single species in a particular area. And we could go one step further. The individuals from all of the populations actually form a community. And an ecosystem is just a term given to a specific community and its interactions with the abiotic environment. And so here in this picture, you can actually see kind of like a little bit of an organization forming. So in our left corner here, we have our single organism or one single species. That one single organism makes up its population of deer here. That population of deer is a part of a community of different species. And when it then interacts with its abiotic features, it is now considered an ecosystem. There are 3 ways in which you can actually describe ecosystems or help you to identify them. And they are the organisms that live there, which is our biotic features, and the temperature range or climate, and also the precipitation or yearly rainfall. Which is why you can see that different biomes are put into different categories. So things such as the desert versus the tropical rainforest. You might find a cacti that lives in the desert, and it's adapted to have a very high temperature range, but a very low rainfall. And so often you won't find a cacti in the tropical rainforest because it's not adapted for the amount of rainfall. So sustainability. Oftentimes, these ecosystems that we talk about try to maintain some sort of balance. They always try to have some sort of constant set of characteristics. So the things such as temperature, precipitation, animal and plant life typically will always try to stay balanced. However, human actions often disrupt these factors of an ecosystem. And how can humans disrupt it? We can disrupt ecosystems through pollution, either maybe water or even air pollution. Cutting down trees strips away organisms' habitats and can also promote more pollution, or even building cities, which is also going to take away habitats and promote more pollution. Even in aquatic ecosystems, you can often find there can be major oil spills, which will severely disrupt stable ecosystems, especially because in oil spills, they're often very hard to clean up and it takes a long time for that ecosystem to bounce back. And oftentimes, these ecosystems are naturally created. So it's without human help that they try to maintain this balance. But with other kinds of ecosystems, such as parks and farms, these ecosystems are man-made, which means that there needs to be a constant management of these ecosystems to keep that balance that we created. And if you think for a second, what would happen if you left a farm for 3 years and came back? Would it look the same? What would be different? Why would it be different? And that's the last question I'm going to leave you with today.